I think that's what we're all here for, is finding out what it is that our real purpose is. It's that existential question. It goes beyond words. And when you begin to find that North Star, that point, you begin to open up a whole nother dimension. And so what I'd like to do, if I can read my notes, some of them I can. Handwriting's getting really sketchy. Oh yeah, I have a confession. I'm a trilobite, a fossil. Technology frightens me. My 16-year-old son, I get one chance, not three, one. And I said, Spencer, could you show me how to, what did I go, and I go, here. I go, I didn't even see what he did. And I go, an hour later, 2 days later, a week later, would you, I've shown you once, that's it. Okay. So in advance, I thank you for your patience and something I know that my son does not have with me. But what is, the question that this asks is, what is the art and science of energetic medicine? That's the deep question. And it comes in two forms. There are two types of energy. There is putative subtle energy, and then there's vertible. The vertible is the measurable. We can see that. It takes so much energy to lift 100 pounds. But that's not what we're talking about. Putative subtle energy has been a myth, and no one believed it until NIH, the National Institute of Health, discovered that while we can't measure subtle energy, we know it exists, and we can see the results. So that's the type of energy. When I say energy medicine, that's what we're talking about, not Arnold Schwarzenegger's energy. Quick aside, when I think of energy, it was in second grade, and there was a fellow named Pendergast who kept getting out of his seat. He just jumped up. This went on for weeks. And Miss Willis finally had enough, and she tied him up like a spider. She was probably Spider-Man's mother, but she tied him up, and then the principal came in. And it was like one of those really pregnant. So that's a different kind of energy. We're not going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the mental energy. And I want to take you back to before 600 BC. 600 BC is a very tipping point for Western science. Pretty much we don't go any further back. And it used to be that the great art historians, Jansen, they would go and they'd give you a few pages of what happened in Egypt and what the prehistoric looked like and what the pre-verbal looked like. But they were sort of dismissed. And that was kind of unfortunate because the anthropologists, the psychologists, everybody missed it. Until we discovered the unconscious. Now, as shocking as it is, psychology is a rather new art, and it meanders. So it doesn't have a lot of credibility amongst the hard sciences. And so they always start it at 600 BC. That's when Western science, then around 400, Hippocrates and Heraclides and those gentlemen came in, and all of a sudden the goddesses were out. They were abandoned. They just, and it was all about medical science and proving if you could see it, if you could measure it, it existed. If you didn't, it was somewhere else. It was over there. And it was over there, psychology, even philosophy got pushed out so that only the humors, only the vapors were measured. And then, of course, it morphed. But it's interesting to note that in 623, Buddha was born.